Good evening. Welcome to the Hillsborough Township Planning Board public meeting. It's September 5th. Welcome back, everybody. Hope everybody had a good summer. Would you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This meeting has been duly advertised according to Section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, also known as the Sunshine Law. Notice of the 2019 annual meeting schedule has been provided to the officially designated newspapers, the Township Clerk, and posted on the bulletin board at the Hillsborough Township Municipal Complex. Roll call, please.
Mr. Hestag, Mr. Weinstein, Mr. Deb, Mr. Senorita, and Chairman Sirachi are absent. Mr. Scobo?
Here.
Beeson?
Present.
Wagner?
Here.
Mr. Hestag? Excuse me. Mr. Committeeman Levani?
Here.
Mayor Delcourt?
Here.
Vice Chair Julie?
Here. I do not think there are any minutes to go over, right, Mr. Gorman?
No minutes.
There are?
No minutes.
Oh, no minutes, okay. So we can proceed to the next item on the agenda, which would be the consideration of resolutions, which is the RPM Development LLC, also known as the Sherman Tract, Phase 1, File 19 PB11 MS/MSP.
Mr. Chairman, the eligible members of the board to vote on it tonight are Mr. Delcourt, Mr. Lapani, Mr. Wagner, Mr. Peason, and Mr. Scobo.
So we need a motion to accept the resolution.
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second.
Okay, with that, we need to vote on it then. Can we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Scobo?
Yes.
Mr. Beeson?
Yes.
Mr. Wagner?
Yes.
Committeeman Levani?
Yes.
Mayor Delcourt?
Yes.
Okay, resolution is passed. Next up on the agenda, is there any planning board business? No planning board business. Was there any business from the floor other than the application that we were talking about tonight? Okay, please. Make a motion to open it to the floor?
No,
Or
no,
just-
you-
Okay. I'm sorry. Come on up, please state your name and address, please.
Sure. Joseph P. Maloney, 27 Stonewick Drive, Hillsborough, New Jersey, the very best place to live in America. Okay.
That's my line.
It is. Okay. Superior Court Justice Thomas Miller in early July gave temporary immunity to Branchburg and to Hillsborough Townships concerning the affordable housing and, I guess, the builders' liability lawsuits by Fair Share Housing. That temporary immunity, according to my CentralJersey.com, was supposed to end yesterday, September 5th. So specifically...
Today, September 5th.
Right. Do we have anything to report on that?
Mr. Chairman, though this is not within the purview of the planning board, I am happy to announce that His Honor has extended the immunity through November 1st. By order that will be distributed
Thank you
to
so much.
all, came out yesterday.
Very good. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
I will add as well that, we continue to push back pretty aggressively on fair share housing for their requirements. We're not there yet. We don't have an agreement. We're one of the final stragglers as a municipality.
We're the last
We're the last one now, but we're not going to accept something we're not happy with. So we continue to fight it, but I'm glad we got the immunity extended, so we're not at risk for any interveners at this point, but we continue to fight, and we're going to do what's right for Hillsborough.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Any other business from the floor? Okay, if there's no other business from the floor, there's no consideration of ordinances. We have the first application, which is Neil Van Cleef, file 19 PB-13-S. Counselor?
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Mike Ogrodnik. I'm an attorney at Savo, Shaw, Gillespie, Ogrodnik, and Fisher in Somerville on behalf of the applicant, Neil and Barbara Van Cleef. This is an application, it's technically a minor subdivision for a lot line adjustment for the property that's, I'm sure, well known as the Van Cleef Engineering office complex, as well as Rails Edge Realty that's over there. It's block 199, lots 33.12 and 34.01. The front of the lot, again, is that office complex, and the back of the complex is Rails Edge Road, which is a residential area. We're here for a proposed lot line adjustment that essentially squares off a lot and makes it a little cleaner. This is a lot line adjustment. We're not proposing any type of improvements or changes. This will not create any new nonconformities. It will not create any new variances or waivers proposed as part of this minor subdivision application. And there are several existing nonconformities. They are maximum front yard setbacks, minimum side yard setbacks, maximum building height, and minimum buffer along residential zones. This is was subject to an application in number 16 PB 17 SRV, which there were several bulk variances. I handled that application back then. Again, including maximum front yard setbacks, maximum building height, and minimum buffer along the residential zone. Lot 34.01 is the commercial lot, which is 6.289 acres in area, and again occupied by Van Cleef Engineering Associates office complex. Mathematically, the lot line adjustment will reduce lot 33.12 from 0.57 acres to 0.45 acres, and conversely, lot 34.01 will be increased from an area of 6.289 acres to 6.411 acres. Affidavits of publication and notice of property owners within 200 feet have been provided to the board. And unless there are legal questions, I would ask to swear in Michael Ford to provide our professional engineering testimony.
Okay, and I don't think we need any.
Swear testimony you give tonight is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, I do.
Spell your name for me.
Yes, Michael Ford, F-O-R-D, 32 Brower Lane, Hillsborough, New Jersey, with Van Cleef Engineering Associates, licensed professional engineer and planner in the state of New Jersey.
Mr. Ford's been
before
here
this
enough
board.
where we know his qualifications.
Okay.
I think the board, based on this application, can stipulate to Mr. Ford's expertise in drawing lines.
I would agree.
Okay. Yeah, as Mr. Ogrodnik said, this is really quite, I'll say, a simple application in the sense that it's just a lot line adjustment, basically correcting an awkwardly configured, and I have on the exhibit on the screen the minor subdivision plan that's submitted as part of the application. And there's a vacant residential building lot to the rear of what I'll call is the Van Cleef Engineering office complex. That property is owned by Mr. Van Cleef, who purchased it recently, and that has an awkward configuration in that it has a leg of its property that extends into the back of the office complex and adjacent to existing parking spaces. And what we simply propose to do as part of this application is square off that lot line and make it straight and more or less parallel to Rails Edge Road. And I'll go to the next exhibit that kind of shows you the existing conditions over an aerial, and I'll trace the existing lot line now. This residential lot, that's the configuration today, and the configuration tomorrow would be basically squaring off that lot. So it would be a fully conforming residential building lot in the CR zone, and then that little, I'll say, slightly better than 1/10 of an acre that's right next to our existing parking would become part of the office complex lot. That's it.
No areas of disturbance that I saw, correct?
Right. We're not proposing, this application doesn't include any proposed construction. There would be a, house. Eventually, at some point in time, there may be additional work done on the office park lot, but as Mr. Ogrodnik indicated, about 2 years ago, we were before the board with a site plan approval that included the Hillsborough Racquetball Club, now known as Pinnacle Fitness, with a multi-phased approach for improvements, including an addition at the front of the racquetball club that is now under construction, nearing completion. The first phase was some additional parking for the racquetball club, which has been completed and is operational, and some regrading and staging for a future building right in basically the middle of the property. That's all previously approved, and none of those approvals are being changed or impacted by this proposal.
The portion that's moving from Lot 3312 going into 3401, is that improved in any way? Is it paved, or do you intend to make it parking now down the road?
Yeah, it's not improved now. There were some old structures on it, and bless you.
Thank you. Bless you.
And there's no immediate plans to do anything there, but as a site engineer,
Yeah.
the immediate thing that jumps out as a potential to improve it would be right now that parking area that's immediately adjacent to it has an access aisle and parking spaces on one side of the access aisle. So that's kind of an inefficient way of parking. It'd be better to have parking on both sides of the access aisle. So that may be something that could be done in the future. But right now,
No
we have
material impact on impervious or anything, it's small. portion.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's adequate parking on the site. The prior site plan for the office complex and the racquetball club provided for adequate parking for all the future improvements there. So there's this was more an opportunity to, I'll say, create a more conforming lot in both respects, both the residential lot and the office lot, with that awkward shape of land between the two.
Is that new property of 33.12, is that a conforming lot or is that a non-conforming lot?
Completely conforming with the CR zone, correct.
Where's the southerly, proposed, the southerly part to square the lot off?
Right here, it's cyan color, yeah. And then this portion of that existing lot would become part of the front office complex lot. And there's actually a small little portion of the office complex lot that would become part of the residential lot, just as part of that squaring off of that area.
Mr. Euro or Mr. Gorman, do you have?
No comments from me.
Okay.
Just one small comment is that there's a little bit of a zone that would be an issue, but the discrepancy that's just noted that it would be taken up at another time to make a request to the Township Committee to potentially move that small portion of the GC to be all GC instead of being partly residential. But that has no issue on this application.
Okay.
Anybody
else?
Mr. Chairman, for the record,
Yeah, Mr. Bernstein.
Mr. Ford, the applicant will agree to all of the requests made in Mr. Euro's letter of August 22nd, 2019.
Yes. Yeah, this would be filed by deed. There's no file map, so we just create a new deed for both of the properties with a description to Mr. Euro's satisfaction and a deed to the satisfaction of the township attorney.
Yeah, so I mean, there's two correspondents, one from Mr. Maskey, one from Mr. Euro, so they both go into the record then.
Correct.
And there's no issues with either of those, correct?
None at all.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to open the public.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we are open to the public. Does anybody from the public have any questions for this professional on this application? No? Anybody? All right, seeing none, I'm going to make a motion to close.
Motion close.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Mr. Bernstein?
Mr. Chairman, you have heard the testimony. You have an application before you for file number 19-PB-13-S, block 199, lots 33.12 and 34.01, for seeking a minor subdivision approval to adjust existing lot line to reconfigure the lot. No new site improvements or changes are proposed as part of the application on properties located in the central residential and Gateway C zoning districts. To approve the application, along with all of the requests made by the board engineer, the board planner, and other applicable professionals, and/or boards, bodies, and committees.
Okay, thank you. So with that, do we need to make a motion or just take a roll call?
Motion that I can't, contrary to public belief, I can't make motions in seconds.
Okay, so we need a motion to approve the application file 19PB-13-S.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
This is as set forth by the board attorney.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Scoville?
Yes.
Mr. Beeson?
Yes.
Mr. Wagner?
Yes.
Committeeman Kapani?
Yes.
Mayor Delacorte?
Yes.
Vice Chair Phillips?
Yes.
Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, as you will notice on the meeting agenda, there are two meetings currently scheduled. One is a regular meeting on September the 12th. One is a business meeting on September the 26th. There is nothing currently on the agenda for either of those meetings. Therefore, on behalf of Mr. Maskey, we are making the request to cancel both meetings, to leave the October meetings as they are. We may have items coming before you in both meetings, but minimally to cancel the September 12th and September 26th meetings.
Do we need a motion for that, or?
Yes, you do.
Okay.
So moved?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so we would cancel the 12th and the 26th, and I guess the next meeting after that would be October 3rd, which we'll just leave on the calendar for now.
Please, thank you.
Okay. Anybody have anything else? If nothing else, I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you.
All right.